Okay, so let's take what we learned and let's graph in standard form. So first of all, when we are looking at our equation, here's our equation right here, y equals x squared plus 4x plus 3. Let's just write down that a is 1, that's the number in front of x squared, b is 4, c is 3. So step 1 says find the vertex by using the axis of symmetry. Okay, so first of all, the axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a. So negative b is 4 over 2, a is 1. So let's simplify this. Negative 4 is on top, 2 times 1 is 2, that's on bottom. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So our axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. Okay, let's go ahead and just real quick draw that in. So it's a vertical line going through negative 2. Let's just make it there. I don't make it really dark. There's our axis of symmetry. Now, how we take that and we find our vertex is we take that number and we plug it in for x inside our equation. So like our equation is I don't know where that came from. Our equation is x squared plus 4x plus 3. But instead of x, we're going to plug in negative 2. Now we type that into a calculator and we get negative 1. So that means that when x is negative 2, y is negative 1. That is our vertex. So let's put that on our graph. Negative 2, negative 1. There's our vertex right there. Okay, so that's step 2. So now that's step 1. Back to step 2. Find the y-intercept by substituting 0 in for x. So remember, here's our equation. So we're going to substitute in 0. That's going to find our y-intercept. We type that in a calculator and we get 3. So our y-intercept is 0, 3. So let's put that point on the graph. Okay. So now step 3 is find the x-intercepts by solving for x. We're going to set the equation equal to 0 and then we're going to factor and find our solutions. There can be 2 solutions, 1 solution, or no solution. So I'm going to just step outside to my space kind of right over here and just factor. Remember that we already figured out that a is 1, b is 4, c is 3. So we need to multiply to ac and add to b. We've done this a whole bunch for the last few weeks when we've learned factoring. So our numbers that work are 1 and 3. So remember, you take it into the box here. So our equation is x squared. The plus 3 is here. Now use your 2 numbers, plus 1x, plus 3x, and go ahead and find the GCF that factors out. We're not going too slow on this because we've done this a lot over the last few weeks. Okay, so x plus 3 times x plus 1 equals 0. And remember, how we find our solutions is we set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So we get x equals negative 3 and x equals negative 1. Okay, so our solutions are x equals negative 3 and x equals negative 1. Those are also our x-intercepts. So let's go ahead and let's put those on the graph. Negative 3 is right here and negative 1's right here. Okay, so step 4, find any other points that you need in your table. All right, so we have x, we have y. So far we have the points negative 2, negative 1, that was our vertex. We used 0, 3, that was our y-intercept. We did negative 3, 0, and negative 1, 0. Those were our x-intercepts. And this was our vertex. So let's just do a couple more points to kind of round it out. So on our graph right here, I like that we have points right here. Let's go ahead and find one more point to the right. So that would be when x is 1. So how you find a point if x is 1, you just go into your equation. So here's our equation. And if I want to know what it is when x is 1, I plug a 1 in. Now type that into our calculator and we get 8. So when x is 1, y is 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a little bit high. It's kind of up there. I don't know that that one's worth doing. Okay, so the right side of your parabola is right here, continuing up towards that one that's at 8. The left side's right here. Now remember, the cool thing about a parabola is it's symmetrical. So you see this point that's at 0, 3 right here? It's 2 boxes to the right of the axis of symmetry. So since it's symmetrical, go 2 boxes to the left, and you have a point right here. So let's put that point there, and continue the left side. And so there's our parabola. And so we look to see it A was 1, and that's positive, so it should be up. So that makes sense that it opens up. Okay, that's our steps. Let's try one more to make sure we've got this. So graph the quadratic function. All right, so step 1, we're using negative b over 2a. So let's go ahead and determine a is negative 1, b is 4, c is negative 3. Okay, so negative b is 4 over 2, a is negative 1. So the top's negative 4, on the bottom, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. That simplifies down to positive 2. So our axis of symmetry is at x equals 2. So let's draw that in first. That's right here at x equals 2. Now we use that axis of symmetry to find our vertex. So remember, our vertex, the first number is the x value of the axis of symmetry. So we have the x values 2 because we just figured that out. So now we're going to go back in to our equation and plug in 2 for x and find out what y is. So we plug in 2 right there. Now we type that into a calculator and we come out with 1. So our vertex is 2, 1. Let's put that point on the graph. Over 2, up 1, there's our vertex. Okay, so step 2. Step 2 says find the y-intercept by substituting 0 in for x. Remember, here's our equation. I'm putting parentheses. Any place there's an x, and we're going to substitute in 0. So when we plug it in, 0 for x gets us negative 3 for y. So 0, negative 3 is our y-intercept. Let's put that on the graph. There's our y-intercept. Okay, step 3 says find the x-intercept by solving for x. So that's where we're going to factor. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can factor out this equation. What I would do first is take a negative out of everything. So if you take a negative, so we have this, negative x squared plus 4x minus 3. If we factor out a negative, it's like dividing by negative 1. So we get negative, and then we have x squared minus 4x plus 3. That looks a lot easier to factor. So I'm going to jot this down, and we're just going to go to the extra space out here to factor. So let's factor this. A is 1, b is negative 4, c is 3. So it's got to multiply to 3. It's got to add to negative 4. So that's negative 1 and negative 3. All right, so if we factor x squared plus 3, we have negative 1x and negative 3x. All right, so we have x minus 3 and x minus 1 are our factors. So that equals 0. So when you set this equal to 0, you get 3. And set this equal to 0, you get 1. These right here are our zeros, also known as our solutions, also known as roots, also known as x-intercepts. So put those on the x-axis. So we have 3 and 1. Okay, we've almost got enough to graph our parabola. So step 4 says find any other points we need. We can use a table by plugging in x values, or we can sit here and we can say, okay, I have the left side of the parabola. So here's the right side. Now look at this point. This point right here is 2 boxes away from the axis of symmetry, right here. So stay at the same height, but go 2 boxes in the other direction. It's 2 boxes to the left. We go 2 boxes to the right. And there's the right side of our parabola. And step 5 says, look at the a value to determine if it opens up or down. So let's double check. If you look at the a value, the a was negative 1. And when it's negative, it opens down. So that actually kind of does check out and make sense.